Did you know that Tawni Ames from The Bad Batch Season 2 Episode 3 is voiced by the same actor who voiced Shaak Ti in The Clone Wars? That's right guys, both of these are accredited to Tasia Valenza, who also voiced Aurra Sing in Star Wars Demolition, Vanessa Dosa in Resistance, and Angela in the Phantom Menace video game. But unlike Shaak Ti, Tawni Ames only had one death.
What is it, Skywalker?
But today guys, we're gonna set the Bad Batch aside. In case you missed it, I posted my full episode breakdown of episode 4. It was fun, with so many references to the Phantom Menace, but today, we're gonna be focusing on the Mandalorian and the Andor show. So no more jibber jabber, let's dive straight into this. So as you guys know, the biggest piece of Star Wars news this week was the release on Monday of the final trailer of The Mandalorian's third season, and following that, new details have dropped, most notably the directors. We heard about the writers a few months ago, and as you would expect, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau were all over that. But to everyone's surprise, neither of them are directing in season 3. The Hollywood Reporter broke this, and here's what they said. On Monday, The Mandalorian season 3's final trailer was unveiled, and here are the directors. So first of all, we have Rick Famuyiwa, who I think is one of the most talented people at Lucasfilm. He was made executive producer on the show back at Star Wars Celebration, and he's already got a lot of Mando under his belt. He's directed and written for the show in the past, and I've got to say his episodes are some of the best of the show so far. In season 1 he directed chapter 2 The Child, as well as directing and co-writing chapter 6 The Prisoner, and in season 2 he directed and wrote chapter 15 The Believer. That was the amazing episode with Migs Mayfeld, all about morality, the Empire, and of course the mention of Operation Cinder. It was also an incredible episode for Slave 1, Boba Fett Starship. In the third season, it's believed he's directing at least one episode, so we don't know if that means 1 or 2, but it could be multiple. So next up on the directors list we have Black Panther cinematographer Rachel Morrison. She also did some episodes of Mudbound, and those were nominated for several awards, so some very high caliber talents there. Next up we have Minari filmmaker Lee Isaac Chung, Mandalorian actor Carl Weathers, who in my opinion directed the best episode of the show. As you guys may or may not know, Chapter 12 The Siege is hands down my favourite episode of Mando. Next up on the list is someone very exciting indeed, Peter Ramsey, director of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Rise of the Guardians, Mortal Kombat, and Minority Report. But for all fans of Sony and Marvel, then you will know that Into the Spider-Verse is his most prolific work. So what's he gonna do with Star Wars and the Mandalorian? That question is so exciting. He's super talented, he's got amazing creative vision, and I can't wait to see what he does with these characters. And the most exciting director of all, Bryce Dallas Howard. Her work on Mando and Boba was phenomenal. I can't wait to see what she does in season 3. Not to mention, she's also directing in the Ahsoka show. And you know, when we saw the behind the scenes, the Disney gallery for The Mandalorian season 2, it was very clear that Bryce Dallas Howard is a very hard worker. When she's directing on set, she's so hands-on, so accommodating, and sees the overall creative vision. She works with the story, but also tries to bring out the best in characters. She did this so well with Bo-Katan, and I'm convinced Bryce Dallas Howard's work on The Heiress, Chapter 11, is what set the precedence for the future of The Mandalorian, because Bo-Katan, Katie Sackhoff's character, is going to be the future of this show, or at the very least, a huge presence. The Hollywood Reporter goes on to say, Jon Favreau once again serves as showrunner, executive producing alongside Dave Filoni, Rick Famuyiwa, Kathleen Kennedy, and Colin Wilson. Karen Gilchrist and Carrie Beck are co-executive producers. And it is interesting that Bryce Dallas Howard is the only returning director from the Book of Boba Fett. No Robert Rodriguez, but this lineup is so promising. There is so much amazing proven talent here. Is this going to be the best season yet? And speaking of which, Steph Green is directing in the Ahsoka show, and in case you don't remember, she directed one of the strongest episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, episode 2. I can't wait to see what she does in the Ahsoka show. And now guys, staying on the subject of the Mandalorian, we need to talk about one scene from the trailer, the extension of Grogu's Order 66 flashback. We saw Jedi Knights and Masters protecting him from a door. Who is behind that door? As I said in my breakdown, could it be Anakin? Maybe Barra Sophie, another Jedi? But this has sparked a dialogue in the fandom about the use of Order 66. Is it being overused? We saw it in Boba, we saw it in Kenobi, now The Mandalorian season 3, maybe even in the Bad Batch season 2 in a flashback. Are we seeing too much of it? Well, regardless of the answer to that question, it's so exciting to get lightsabers in The Mandalorian. I mean, sure, it's a flashback and we do have of the Darksaber already, but we're talking about Jedi Knights, and even if you want to make the argument that it is being overused, it's always fascinating to get more of Grogu's backstory. But I suppose a central question to this conversation is, are we getting too many Order 66 survivors? A handful is fine, but the number seems to be growing. Some fans are worried that this is diluting Obi-Wan's comment from A New Hope, that the Jedi Knights are all but extinct, but to counter this, the amount that survived is minuscule compared to the thousands that once existed, so there is no real worry of them overdoing it. It's only a handful or two. There's one Jedi that in canon I really want to know what happened to him, Oppo Rancisis. Of all the mysterious Jedi who survived, but we still don't know what happened to them, here's the one I want to know the most about. He was Yaddle's apprentice, and I'm really hoping he did survive. Could he show up somewhere else? Maybe in Jedi Survivor? And so now, my dear friends, we move on to the Andor series. I love when the Star Wars fandom cracks codes, works things out, translates things in the background of shows, and that is exactly the case today. In episode 4 of Andor season 1, Cyril Khan walks past Coruscant. In actuality, it's the McLaren headquarters, but behind him on the screen, there are actual names of planets in Aurebesh. Now, one Star Wars fan on Twitter decided to translate them, and it turns out, even corroborated by Pablo Hidalgo, that Andor canonized some Legends planets. The Aurebesh names are on screen at the 24-minute 52-second timestamp. One of the notable planets listed is Balfron, which first appeared in 1989 in Galaxy Guide 1, a companion guide to Star Wars the role-playing game. Balfron is one of the core worlds, relatively close to Coruscant, and known for housing many casinos where players could wager entire planets while playing sabacc. Another planet from Star Wars Legends, which is now canon thanks to Andor, is Jonzior, another planet located in the core worlds. It first appeared in the Star Wars Online fan club known as Hyperspace. The third planet reference from Star Wars Legends is Mawan. If you've been following my channel for a while, then you'll know this is the Legends location of Yaddle's death. Tales of the Jedi gave us her canon death, but in Legends, she was on a mission to Mawan. Now there are some other planets on this list, many of which are canon, so not Star Wars Legends. These include Hosnian Prime, Lance Carpo, which appeared in Star Wars comics since 2015, Ferost, Topasi, Zeltros, which appeared in the Dr. Aphra series, Old Mantell, Cantonica, Ketune Moidia, Urbrisky, and Slois Van. So the biggest question is, are we going to see some of these planets come into live action, maybe in Andor Season 2? Now this is not the first time Star Wars included material from Legends in canon. In 2022's Obi-Wan Kenobi, Aurebesh inscriptions on the wall translated to names of Jedi, with more than one mentioned character coming from Legends. Since Obi-Wan's release, nothing major has happened with any of the characters that were mentioned, but they might feature into other projects. As I said, Pablo Hidalgo confirmed that these planets are now canon, but he also reinstated that these names are not important. But you never know, we might get a reference to them in the future, even if it's a name drop. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. Should these Legends planets be incorporated into the canon in a meaningful way, not just as a name drop, but actually physically appearing? And so finally, my dear friends, an update for the Acolyte. This comes from Bespin Bulletin. Outside of Shinfield Studios, there is a new set they're filming at in Arborfield Green in Berkshire, and here are images of the set. So with that said, my dear friends, as I say, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you always.